Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be right there.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl.
All right, and we are back here on Outputting Our Coverage. As promised, special guest Garrett, Mississippi State alum, friend of the show, here to help us break down the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Garrett, what do you see happening this year? Start us off with the offense.
Well, actually, offense is, I think everything hinges on offense this year. Defense isn't something I usually worry about for State, but I think everything for the offense this year depends on Russell and how he kind of steps into this new role that he's been waiting on for years. He's not a runner like Ralph was, so it's gonna change the coaching style. I think the offense quite a bit. I'm optimistic, but I'm interested to see how it's going to pan out.
Now, Mississippi State finished 94th in passing last year, but they didn't attempt a lot of passes. Do you think their offense will change with their new quarterback?
I think absolutely it will, but I think not just due to the change in the quarterback, but also because of changes in running back. We don't have a force like Big Ballard anymore that we can just try and give the ball up the middle to. I think because Russell isn't as strong in the run, it's going to force us to pass a little more. I'm kind of interested to see if we're going to take, we're going to kind of play a West Coast style a little bit, or kind of stick with the spread like Mullen's been running. It'll be interesting to see. I think that if Russell is on point, if he can get that passing attack and open up the run a little bit, I think that we're going to see a completely different Mississippi State offense this year than we did last year.
He certainly has a couple of good wide receivers to throw to. Chad Bumpus, who seems like he's been there for like 10 years,
at least,
still available. Arcito Clark, Chris Smith, a couple of seniors there. Yeah, they give him some great targets to throw to. What about the offensive line? How do you see that working out?
Offensive line is something that I always wish that our guys were bigger. I remember when we played Georgia last year, their defensive line just absolutely tore our offensive line to shreds, and it made it really difficult to get that running attack going. I think that from the offensive line standpoint, if we could be stronger, we could have some highlights. Last year we suffered a lot of injuries. We were down to third stringers, and we're having to move guys around pretty early on in the season. So hopefully getting everybody back, getting everybody healthy will make a huge impact there.
Good stuff. Let's look at the defense. It looks like we've got 7 returning starters coming back, but just to be perfectly honest, not a lot of names that I recognize. Who are some guys that we should be looking out for?
Well, I think the biggest one is Jonathan Banks. He's defensive back. He kind of headlined SEC Media Days a little bit. I think that the people are really looking to him to step it up and lead this defense this year. Whether he's going to make headlines like the Honey Badger did last year, or whether he's just going to make plays and get his job done, I think he's a fantastic athlete. He's going to make some plays for us. I'd love to see pick 6 or 2 out of him.
Now, Mississippi State was extremely strong on the defensive line last year. They had a couple guys go in the NFL, but they lost a lot. Do you think they'll come back just as strong?
I think that there's a lot of strength there still. We lost Fletcher Hotz last year, but we picked up Nick James. He's a freshman, but everything that I've read online says he's extremely strong. He's got a little growing up to do, so I'll be interested to see if they redshirt him or if they go ahead and play him. I don't think they've made an announcement about that yet. But I think that there is a lot of strength on the defensive line. It certainly has good mentoring, and I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And they're going to be backed by, I think, a much better linebacker board this year. We've still got Cameron Lawrence. He's a senior this year. I think he's going to cause some quarterback backfield trouble this year.
Yeah, it certainly looks like there's a lot of experience on that defense, which certainly helps, especially when you have a big test pretty early in the season. Let's run through the schedule here real quick. Mississippi State gets a nice warm-up against Jackson State at home, but in that second week, they have that home game against Auburn, which I think will be a nice test. Then they travel to Troy to play them, followed by South Alabama at home, then at Kentucky, followed by Tennessee, and then Middle Tennessee, both at home. They have to travel to Alabama, but they get Texas A&M at home, Next week, traveling to LSU, then Arkansas at home, followed by the Egg Bowl, which is in Oxford at Ole Miss this year. Go ahead and give us your Mississippi State fan viewpoint here. How do you see that schedule working out?
Well, the first half of that schedule, I'm very optimistic. I think, we beat Auburn, we beat Tennessee. I think those are the two main obstacles in the first half of the season. We could pretty easily go 7-0, I think, between Jackson State, Auburn, Troy, South Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Tennessee. So I think that's possible, but then that leaves basically every the heavy part of the schedule on the back end. And that's going to be a rough 4 weeks there between Alabama, Texas A&M, LSU, and Arkansas. Those are going to be tough. Then we play Ole Miss. Probably not going to be as tough. I think at the end of August will be, I read online today, 1,000 days that we have been in possession of the golden egg, which is
pretty impressive.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So I don't anticipate that being an issue this year, although I've been wrong before. So first half of the schedule, I'm very optimistic. I hope this gives our guys the opportunity to stay healthy and gain some confidence as we go into that last half of the season. Maybe beat A&M. I hope to see at least one win between Alabama, LSU, and Arkansas. It depends on what we can put together on offense.
Okay, David, what are your thoughts?
I think that they probably lose that game against Auburn, but I agree. I think they win every other game, but I just have a hard time with Mississippi State. I think it's tough to get out of that mindset in that state where they're just mediocre, So I've actually got them going 7-5. I've got them losing to Auburn, losing to Alabama, losing a very close game to Texas A&M, losing to LSU and Arkansas, and rebounding in the Egg Bowl. I think that might be a closer game just because of the rivalry, but I think they probably should take care of Ole Miss pretty well.
Yeah. Now, Gary, I know you're already upset with me about my Egg Bowl prediction. I'm going to stick by that for now, but I have 7-5 as well. I think that Auburn game is going to be a really close one. That's going to be a good litmus test for both of those teams early in the season, and a game that I kind of think whoever, almost like what happened last year, whoever wins that game is going to have a lot of momentum to build on, and whoever loses that game is going to have some tough questions to answer. So I think that's going to be a close one. I think losses to Alabama, probably LSU, Arkansas. I see them beating Texas A&M, but I just wonder. I know Ole Miss is a rivalry game, but after such a tough stretch, you've had some injuries or some fatigue. I don't know. I think that could be a tough one. But overall, 7-5, 8-4. I think that's probably about where we're looking at.
And one more question: if they do go 7-5 or 8-4, do you think Dan Mullen keeps his job?
I think, I absolutely do. I think Mullen is probably going to be in Starkville for as long as he wants to be for the foreseeable future. He's brought so much energy back to the program. I would assume during the Chrome years. So I have seen the state from the lowest blows up to where Dan Mullen's brought us now, and I think the job is his for as long as he wants it. If he keeps his energy level up.
So, as a Mississippi State fan, what are your expectations? Like, where do you want to see Mississippi State realistically this year and maybe 3 years from now?
Well, this year, I would love to beat Auburn. I would love to break that barrier that everybody's been reminding us about. Where the only SEC West team we've beaten since Mullen came to town was Ole Miss. I would love to break that barrier, beat Auburn or other headline SEC schools. I think that would be really important for our program and for recruiting purposes. 3 years from now, you look at the Dan Mullen talk, and we're just four downs away from a national championship every year. That's a little more optimistic than I am, but he's paid to be that optimistic, I guess. I think that realistically, we kind of start looking at breaking into that middle tier of the SEC West schools. We've been kind of flirting with the bottom for a long time, and I think that if we keep getting recruits and we keep playing with the kind of energy that we've got, I think if Dan Mullen stays and continues to bring that energy that he's got to the program, I think we can very easily see ourselves bump up into that middle tier of the SEC West.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to send you out on this. Give us a bold prediction for this season. Could be Mississippi State related, SEC related, college football in general. Just give us something.
A bold prediction.
Bold.
A bold.
Oh, a bold prediction.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I heard your prediction earlier saying that you didn't think anybody in the SEC West would go undefeated. I think that I can get behind that. My bold prediction for this year is that neither Alabama nor LSU will make it to the SEC championship.
That is a bold prediction.
That is. I like that. But I see it possible.
I think that if Arkansas can get their defense up and their offense looks great again, I mean, they've got some with Kyle Davis coming back. I think they've got serious potential. So I'm rooting for Arkansas to win that SEC West this year.
All right, well, we'll write that one down for you. Definitely have to have you back on the show. We appreciate it, Garrett. That is Garrett Burke, our resident Mississippi State alum and fan. Thanks, Garrett. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll see you.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a second.
We're back, don't know what we're talking about. We're back, don't know what we're talking about. We're back, don't know what we're talking about. We're back, here we go, no more Christmas. Here we go, always talking systems. We're back, don't know what we're talking about. We're back.
All right, we are back here for the last few minutes of the show. Again, thanks to Garrett, our resident MSU fan, helping us break down the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
If they turn into something this year, we're definitely going to have him back on.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Real quick, we said we weren't going to talk about Penn State, but I do want to mention real quick a flood of transfers now. I think there's like 9 or 10 guys who have left, probably headlined by Silas Redd going to USC. Do you fault these players for doing that?
No, of course not. I think that they are given that right. I wouldn't personally want to be known by that association. I don't really want to be a part of that this year. If I were them, I'd definitely look at my options. I mean, you can keep shouting camaraderie and brotherhood and, blood, sweat, and tears, but, you got to do what's best for you sometimes.
Yeah. I really think the interesting thing is going to be not before this season, but after this season, before next season, because the players are still free to transfer before next season as well.
Right.
So it's almost going to be like opposing coaches watching these Penn State games like high school games, trying to see which guys are going to kind of emerge, who they want to recruit to their school. I just think it's going to be a crazy dynamic for next year.
A weird situation, and one that is unprecedented. We haven't seen it before.
Yeah, I think that's when you're really going to see Penn State get decimated.
And I think that their recruits now are saying, yeah, we'll go back to Penn State, but that's now.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a long time to decommit. You know how recruits are.
Absolutely. So that's all we got for you this week on Outputting Our Coverage. Next week we'll be back wrapping up our SEC previews. Followed by the week after, we'll talk about Alabama. Then the week after that, Auburn. And then after that, we're going to talk about some game predictions. It's going to be time for games, man.
Man, I'm so excited. We're so close. Guys, you can also see us on YouTube now. Make sure you comment on Facebook and Twitter. We want to know what you think about the show.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week here on Outputting Our Coverage. Have a great week. Don't miss us too much.
Where we're moving on.